What is up, everyone? My name is Ryan. I make videos so you can see what it's like to live in the Kingdom of Wonder, which is where I live, Cambodia. That was not normally how I do that. What's going on in Cambodia this week? The 12th edition of the Cambodia International Film Festival. A 6-day event that's packed with 140 films from over 40 countries across the world. 9 cinemas in Phnom Penh will be showing these films. I'm excited, you're excited, we're all excited. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to the movies.
Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this.
So I've festivaled some films in my day. Ah, that's a cracking noise. I used to live in Toronto, dramatic pause, Ontario, Canada, and I've been to a number of screenings for the Toronto International Film Festival, CIFF, the biggest film festival in all of North America. That's right, USA, we've got you beat. Sundance? More like sun sit in the corner and hope someone asks you to dance. I saw the Scorsese Bob Dylan documentary at TIFF. I saw Spring Breakers. James Franco was there. That was a crazy story. I was like, whoa, that's James Franco. And then, I guess that's the end of the story, but he was pretty short. Sarah used to bartend at one of the TIFF venues, and she served Jason Bateman a drink and apparently made him laugh.
I mean, I'm so happy I met you that night.
My point is, I think I probably just wanted to brag a bit. No, I had a point. This film festival, the Cambodian International Film Festival, is quite different from all the other film festivals I've ever attended. First of all, it's completely free. Cambodia coming with another hugely complicated event that they're giving away for free, much like the SEA Games. You gotta love that. Second of all, this festival has both new and old movies. There's Cambodian films. There's films that are kind of related to Cambodia. Maybe they were shot in Cambodia. But it also has films that are not connected to Cambodia at all. Films from France, Australia, America, and more. There are a few themes. They're also offering workshops and networking sessions. This isn't just about sharing films, it's about promoting the industry, growing Cambodia's film industry, which is actually pretty decent considering the size of the country, and especially considering that the film industry was essentially wiped out after the Cambodian genocide. That takes us to the first movie that I saw at CIFF. Can I call it CIFF? Cambodian International Film Festival, CIFF, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it CIFF. Huoy Keng was born in Kampot in 1937. He ruled the Cambodian film industry in the 60s and 70s. He was a director, producer, actor, and he co-ran the Sovan Kiri Film Studio, which produced over 20 films, which is a record for a Cambodian film studio that still stands to this day. This year, the Cambodian International Film Festival is doing a tribute to Huoy Keng, and they're showing 4 of his films. And after reading the plot for Crocodile Man, I had to go see it. The screening was at the Bopana Center. The cinema was very tiny, but it filled up with some excited cinephiles, and we all sat and watched a worn-out digital rip of Crocodile Man, which, it was pretty out there. It's about a guy who figures out how to turn himself into a crocodile, but then his buddies get scared and don't hit him 3 times, which is how you turn him back into a human. So he wanders the Mekong for a week, and then the master comes home and finds out. The master says they can't turn him back now because it's been too long. So instead he rides the crocodile to a nearby village where a girl is sick. Apparently she caught a cold or something, but the master has some medicine that will heal her, but he warns her to avoid the wilderness because the medicine makes the animals, I want to say horny, but they didn't actually use the word horny in the movie, but I think we all know that it was making the animals horny. Then the master heads back, but they run into some other crocs, and they're apparently mean ones. So the man-turned-croc has to fight them, and the master hides in the crocodile's stomach. Interesting strategy. Will it work? No. The fight lasts a week, and by the time it's done, the master is dead. He died in the crocodile's stomach. It's kind of my favorite part of the movie when the crocodile just goes, oh, here, I brought the master back. But of course the man-croc can't talk, so he can't explain the situation, and everyone thinks he's just a bad croc. Then the master comes back as a ghost, I think, is what's happening here. And he turns the croc guy back into a man and then gives him a couple of hotties to be his wives. So the guy's a man again, but he can still turn into a crocodile. I was a bit confused about that part. But he's living in an underwater cave with his hotties. Meanwhile, the girl that was sick, she's better now, and her gal pals decided to go over to the river for a dip. Croc Man shows up as a man, and he's macking on this girl real hard. She's not really into it. She just wants to play some kind of crocodile chase around game with her friends. So of course, he turns into a crocodile, and he's like, you want crocodile, baby? I'm a crocodile. And then he kidnaps her. The rest of the movie is about the girl's parents trying to find a magician that can save her, but the magicians keep getting violently murdered by the croc guy, who also has magic. This scene got the biggest laugh by far, for obvious reasons.
Butts.
And then there was this scene, which was very confusing to me. The girl is a magician. She's trying to use her magic to seduce the croc man, I think. But then they showed this, and I don't know, because then they jump cut to this, which made the audience gasp. Well, it was more like, oh! I don't know, is that a gasp? That's not really a gasp. Eventually, a really good magician comes along, and he spears the croc guy and rescues the girl. Croc man is hurt really bad, but he finds out that one of his wives was killed, and baby crocs have come out of her stomach, or her womb, I guess. Back on land, everyone is happy, but the magician finds out that the croc man didn't kill the master. So he wants to go apologize, I guess. Apologize to the croc man for taking the girl he had kidnapped back to her family. I don't know. But Croc Man is like, no way, just let me die, and then he goes and fights crocs until he's dead, I think. To be honest, it was pretty hard to follow because the subtitles were kind of blended into the movie, they were burned into it, and they were just really hard to read. But maybe the best part of the whole experience was after when Dy Saveth did a short Q&A. Dy Saveth played the young girl that was kidnapped. She's actually the ex-wife of Huoy Keng, the director. Saveth starred in several of Huoy Keng's films. Probably her best known role is when she played Snake Girl. In the film, she wore a headdress made of live baby snakes. Yeah, they glued a bunch of snakes to her head for it. Her story, though, was pretty amazing. She was the first ever Miss Cambodia back in 1963. The attention landed her some roles in films, and she started to make movies with King Norodom Sihanouk, the King of Cambodia. Can you imagine being a 19-year-old girl and you start working with the King of Cambodia and he's directing you and you're acting in movies with him? But eventually she married Huoy Keng, and together they started making movies like crazy, and they co-founded Cambodia's biggest movie studio. They had 2 children, and they were making movies in both Cambodia and Thailand. Then, like many stories of Cambodia, everything changed when the Khmer Rouge took over. Lucky for them, they were actually location scouting for their next film in Thailand on the day that Phnom Penh fell, so they fled to France. Eventually they moved to Hong Kong, but while they were there, they ended up splitting up. Kong continued to make films, and he eventually went on to become one of Hong Kong's first millionaires. Saveth, though, she left Hong Kong, she returned to France, but Cambodia was always on her mind. Of course, it's not easy to return to a place that you've fled. She had lost 4 siblings to the genocide. Cambodia was her home, but the country was now a mystery to her, one that was just scarred with so much trauma. Reading about her first attempt at re-entering Cambodia just gave me chills. She went to Thailand and took a tuk-tuk to the border, up in the mountains, and she looked across the land to her old home. At that time, she couldn't bring herself to actually cross the border. She just sat there and just watched it for a while. But she eventually did return, and she started to make a life for herself in Phnom Penh. Then one day she came across a house fire. There were people throwing buckets of water at it, trying to put the flames out, and she yelled, "Why don't you call the fire department?" And in that moment, someone recognized her. They worked for Cambodia National Television, and suddenly she was swept back into the spotlight. At the time, most people didn't even know that she was still alive. She started doing interviews. She eventually started doing films again. I believe now she teaches performance at the Royal University of Fine Arts here in Phnom Penh. She's 79 years old, but she's still full of grace. It was just really cool to see her in person and to watch a movie with her in it, a movie she starred in when she was such a young woman. Okay, we must move on. There are plenty of movies to see, not much time left to see them. Sarah and I headed to the Chitmong Mega Mall to see a documentary called Huoy Keng. This movie was at the Legend Cinema. It's a nice big theater. It was a fantastic film. I highly recommend it. I don't want to give away too much, but it tells the story of Ted Ngoy, who fled Cambodia with his family. They go to America with nothing, and eventually he creates a donut empire, sponsoring over 100 Cambodian refugee families and helping them open their own donut shops. I didn't know any of this, but I guess the donut scene in California is dominated by the Cambodians. In the 90s, there were approximately 1,500 Cambodian-owned donut shops in California. The film is about the American dream. It's about starting a new life, starting over with nothing, building yourself up from scratch. It made me really happy. It made me really sad. It kind of made me angry. When it was over, I was actually a little pissed off at the Donut King. And then the lights came up and I looked over and he had been sitting in the row in front of us the whole time. He did a little Q&A, we took some photos. It was really cool. The guy's a legend and his story is just full of emotion. Donut King came out in 2020. It's got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not sure where you can see it, but I don't know, Google it or something and definitely go check it out. And that's it for my Cambodia International Film Festival experience. I was hoping to go see some more films, but I'm ran out of time. Nevertheless, it was a great time, and it was so cool to see some Cambodian legends. CIFF will continue next year. If you're around, definitely go check out some screenings. It's free, it supports the community, it's a great time. No excuses, okay guys? No excuses. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Take care, comb your hair. I'm out.
Prefer when I'm by myself. I don't wanna hang around y'all. Good health. One day I'm really gon' ball. Fuck around and buy the whole mall. Breaking that cake. Flexing 700 in the bank. Not a superhero, I don't save. Look at my face. Look at my grades. Don't match up, no love.